off some of the steam of the punch, but still, Roach leading with right into the knee.
The highly anticipated clash between Gervonta, Tank Davis, and Lamont Roach ended in a controversial draw, and the debate around the decision shows no signs of slowing down. Among those speaking out is boxing legend Floyd Mayweather, who didn't hold back his thoughts, and he's not alone. Several boxing greats have chimed in, questioning the outcome of the bout. After 12 intense and closely contested rounds, the judges scored it a majority draw, but one moment in particular sparked outrage. In the 9th round, Roach landed a devastating right hand that sent Davis to a knee, a moment that many believe should have shifted the momentum and perhaps the result of the fight.
Everything that's been going on in the world of boxing, but let's first talk about the thing that everybody's talking about in the world of boxing, and that's, was it a knockdown? Was the whole Lamont Roach, Tank Davis, Tank taking a knee, going to the corner after taking the knee and getting wiped out, was it a knockdown? And should it have been a disqualification?
Look, it could have easily been a disqualification too, or a referee stops contest, because look, there's no way a fighter could take a timeout and go get his, during the round. There's no way a fighter could say.
However, the referee chose not to rule it a knockdown, a decision that quickly became the center of heated debate. Many within the boxing community argue it was a clear knockdown, a pivotal moment that could have swayed the scorecards in Roach's favor. Had the referee made a different call, Lamont Roach might have secured the biggest win of his career. The controversy intensified when Floyd Mayweather, a major figure in Gervonta Davis's career, publicly addressed the issue. But before diving into Floyd's reaction, let's look at how other boxing icons responded to the fight, particularly the now infamous 9th round sequence. One of the most vocal critics was renowned trainer Robert Garcia. He argued that the referee should have either stopped the fight and awarded Roach the victory, or disqualified Davis altogether for taking a knee without being knocked down. In Garcia's view, no fighter should be allowed to pause the action, with an unsanctioned break, especially in a moment as critical as this.
Because he took a knee like a timeout kind of thing, and walked to his corner to wipe his face. That's fucking unheard of and never seen before. There's no way that's legal in boxing. It shouldn't have. When a fighter, we just seen it recently with Espinosa and Rubesis. Rubesis got hit with the right hand, and then he walks back and walks away, and the red right away wiped it up.
That happened with Lara versus Angulo.
Exactly. It's over.
Garcia further elaborated that Davis used the moment to return to his corner and have his face wiped, an action he called completely unheard of in professional boxing. The veteran coach didn't stop there. He pointed out that in past fights, similar actions led to immediate stoppages, with the opposing fighter being awarded the win on the spot.
The ref, when that shit should have right away been a standing 8 count. Should have been not a standing 8 count because he took a knee, so it should have been a knockdown, an 8 count. But it didn't happen. Now we have a draw, and Lamont Roach walks away with a draw. He should have walked away being a world champion. Honestly, he should have walked.
Furthermore, Garcia criticized the referee for not issuing a knockdown count, stressing that if the correct call had been made, Lamont Roach could have walked away as the new world champion.
An upset draw is always a mixed bag for fans, for people in the sport, etc., etc. I thought it was, in essence, the right decision. The only question about whether the upset draw is justified is whether Steve Willis erred in not deducting a point in a late round when Tank Davis appeared to touch the canvas with his hand. And that is going to stay in the woodwork and haunt the fight in the breach.
Legendary sportscaster Jim Lampley also weighed in, asserting that Davis touching the canvas should have been ruled a knockdown. According to Lampley, this critical oversight could cast a long shadow over the legitimacy of the fight's outcome for years to come.
Today, it's a setback in Tank's career and for his reputation. I think most observers expected him to knock Roach out, particularly because Roach was moving up from 130 to 135. Sometimes when a fighter moves up in weight, he gets stronger, and it looked as though maybe Roach did get stronger and had a greater ability to resist Tank's power than other opponents have had. because Tank did tag him with a lot of clean shots, and he wound up throwing more punches than he likes to throw to get that done. He tagged him both on the chin and to the belly, etc., and couldn't seem to hurt Roach. And that was another surprise in the...
Lampley went on to suggest that this bout represents a major setback for Gervonta "Tank" Davis, a fighter once celebrated for his explosive knockouts. Instead of delivering the dominant performance many anticipated, Davis found himself barely escaping with a majority draw. Lampley noted that expectations were high, especially since Roach was moving up in weight, but the fight turned out to be far from one-sided. Davis struggled more than anyone expected, raising serious questions about his current form and whether he can continue to dominate at the elite level.
I'll stick with that. Usually a great defender beats a great attacker. Another person interviewed me a few moments ago and said, who would you pick right now between Shakur and Tank? And I said, off of what I saw tonight, I would lean towards Shakur.
But Lampley saved his most startling statement for last. After watching Davis's performance that night, he boldly declared that if Tank were to face Shakur Stevenson, Stevenson would come out victorious. This prediction sent shockwaves through the boxing world, igniting intense speculation and debate.
Lamont was ready, man. He was ready. He was in shape. He took Tank punches, you know what I mean? And they was going back and forth, you know what I mean? And I thought it was a real close fight, but I thought...
Respected boxing coach Boozy Ennis also weighed in on the controversy surrounding the fight. According to Ennis, Lamont came into the bout well prepared and in peak condition, making it a closely contested battle. Despite the razor-thin margins, Ennis firmly believes that Roach did enough to earn the victory on the judges' scorecards. While he acknowledged that opinions on the decision may be divided, from his perspective, Lamont edged out Gervonta Davis in what he considered a fair and hard-fought contest.
You've been in boxing for over 40 years.
Over 40.
Yeah. Have you ever seen anything like that? A guy takes a knee?
No. Now, that's something I didn't expect him to do, you know what I mean? You know, he took the knee, you know what I mean? And then ran to the corner and got his eyes right there. They never allowed that. They would have started counting. You know what I mean? I see that he started counting, then he stopped. You know what I mean? But you got to understand, you know, Tank got a lot of power. That show you right there.
And of course, the biggest talking point of the night couldn't be overlooked: the moment Gervonta Davis unexpectedly took a knee. When asked for his thoughts on this surprising decision, Ennis echoed the sentiments of his colleague Robert Garcia. He made it clear that this was an unprecedented moment in boxing. With over 40 years in the sport, Ennis said he had never seen anything like it: a fighter voluntarily taking a knee to essentially buy time. He was baffled by the move, describing it as something that simply doesn't happen at the elite level.
Somebody said him getting his face wiped off, him sticking his head through ropes and getting his face wiped off was supposed to be a disqualification. Is that a rule?
That's what they say. That's what they say. That's what I heard.
Beyond that, another controversy erupted over Gervonta Davis's corner assisting him mid-fight. Some fans and analysts argued that his team wiping his face during the round should have resulted in an automatic disqualification. When asked about this, Ennis didn't dismiss the possibility, acknowledging that under strict rule enforcement, such an action could indeed have led to a DQ.
More educated refs, whatever you want, trained refs. I'm not gonna say honest because I don't know if honesty had something to do with it. I don't know, but definitely we need better refs that assure themselves, knowing how to make a decision, know they're making the right decision, and emboldened to make that decision. I think that